Okay, well, we're doing another live stream from the Baking Hollow Hummingbird Sanctuary, and what we're looking at the moment is star Almach in the constellation Andromeda, and um, this is a video view through a video camera. But if you look more closely at Almach, and I'm now going to switch to our view through the main telescope, you can see that this star is actually made up of two stars. Um, and there's a yellow star and there's a blue star, and they're very close together. And I can't separate them in my video camera, of course, but I can separate them in the main telescope, which is what you're looking at right now. And and the separation between the two of them is around 10 seconds of arc. And in fact, we can probably zoom in somewhat more, a little bit more at least. And as you can see, the distance between them, 10 seconds of arc, is easily resolved in my telescope. But earlier on, we were looking at the double star Epsilon Lyrae, and unfortunately we couldn't resolve it, but there the separation was only 2 seconds of arc. So 10 seconds of arc separation is easily resolved, but 2 seconds of arc was more difficult. In theory we should be able to do it, but it's rather a windy night and everything is bouncing around somewhat. So this is Almach in the constellation Andromeda, and now I'm going to switch back to our view of this star, and I'm going to zoom out and try and show you a little bit more of Andromeda. And as we zoom out, we might be able to pick up some of the other stars. Well, you can see a number of the fainter stars in Andromeda. I'm wondering if we can't get more of the stars there. And I'm continuing to zoom out. But Andromeda is quite a large constellation, and I can't fit. That's about the limit that I can zoom out. Okay. So now we're going to move from Almach to have a look at the Pleiades. So let's take a last look at Almach. There we go, the double star Almach in the constellation of Andromeda. We'll switch back to the much broader view of Andromeda, and now we're going to move the telescope to the Pleiades. And I'm just looking up my list here. Messier objects, it's M45. So in just a minute we'll be whizzing to the Pleiades. 7 sisters. Okay. And here we go, and you should be able to see the telescope readjusting itself as we move from Andromeda towards the Pleiades, and there it is. And now the telescope's centering the Pleiades. And you can start to see why it's called the Seven Sisters. So let's zoom in on the Pleiades now. The telescope is actually adjusting the exact centering. It likes to be precise. So it makes an initial movement away and then it moves back. It was pretty centered to start with, but there we go. So let's zoom in now on the Pleiades. It is centered. We're zooming in on the Pleiades. This is a live video from Baiting Hollow. This is Messier 45, open cluster, famous open cluster. And we're gradually zooming in more and more. And as you can see, there's a lot more than just the 7 stars that you can see with the naked eye. You can see those 7 stars, but you can also see a whole bunch of other stars. Now let me have a look at my view in the main telescope here. Make sure that we have enough gain here. There we go. That looks good. 50 milliseconds. Okay. And I'm going to preview and take a photograph now. 1 second photograph. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a photograph, a 100 millisecond exposure photograph. I can actually go up to a 1 second exposure, that would be better, sorry. 1 second, there we go. A 1 second exposure. I'm retaking the photograph. I'll show it to you in just a minute. Okay, here it comes. And that's through the main telescope. Okay, it's a much tighter view, greater magnification. And what I would like to show you now is the view of the video camera, and in fact I can show you the exact star that we're looking at. I can get that arrow working here. I don't know why it stopped working here. A little bit annoying. Okay. There we go. So I'm pointing to this star here in the low power video camera view, and we'll now look in the main camera, in the main telescope view, and that's the same star there, and I'm going to point to that using a different pointer. If this should be able to work here, but it just takes a moment. Here it is. And here is the main star in the main telescope. So now we'll try and do a double exposure of the two. We'll go to split screen, for example, and that should work. So let's put that on there, and you can see here the view. Let's go over to here. This is a comparison now of the Pleiades through the two parallel telescopes at exactly the same spot. On the right is the main telescope view, and on the left is the video camera view. Much broader view in the video camera view. In fact, we can zoom out a little bit. But now let's start zooming in on the video camera view, and we'll be able to look at that exact same star. I'll move my pointer down just a little bit so it's not in the way. Looking at the Pleiades, and as you can see, the two views do match up quite nicely. All the stars are in the same position, more or less, in the two views. I think we can zoom in one more step to make them a little bit more similar. There we go. Now they're virtually identical. Okay. On the left is the video camera view live. On the right is a static image. Now we can, instead of showing you a photograph, and that was a 1 second exposure, we can go to the video view on the main camera, go to here, and we'll get the exposure set up appropriately. So far we can't see any stars. We may have to increase the exposure there. I'm not quite sure why it's not picking up. Everything should be good enough. I don't quite understand why we're not seeing that. We'll switch over to bin 4 here. Okay, try that. Yeah, and now you're picking up some of the stars there. In particular, you can pick up the 3 stars there. I'm going to try and move this up just a tad. So that we can see better the correspondence between the two. Okay, so now we have on the left the live view through the video camera, and on the right the live view through the main telescope. Magnification is a little bit higher through the main telescope, so we'll increase the zoom a little bit here so that we can really compare those two images, and you can see that they match almost perfectly. However, I think the colors in the video camera view are not accurate. There's some chromatic aberration. It looks pretty, but they're not accurate. The colours in the main telescope view on the right are much more accurate. So we're looking at the Seven Sisters on the right, the heart of the Seven Sisters through the main telescope, and now we're going to start zooming out on the left to show you a much broader view of the Pleiades. Zoom out. Zoom out, and I can't zoom out in this way on the main telescope. It's a fixed magnification, so we almost can see the entire Pleiades at this point. There we go. And once again, this view here, this star, it's set of 4 stars here. There's the bright star, and then there are 3 other stars close to it. That corresponds to this view here in the low power view. It's that star there and this star here. Okay, Unfortunately, my red pointer fades out unless I keep moving it. I don't know how to fix that. It's very annoying. View of the Pleiades from Baiting Hollow live on November the 1st, day after Halloween.